I'm excited to be here to talk to you about adding empathy to your comp flow. And I have to say, I didn't have to say it that loud though. I have to say, kind of being here yesterday and today, I started to get a little bit nervous about this talk because I don't know about you, but my mind has been blown like 87 times with all the amazing things AI can do, all the coolest things that are coming, all of this innovation. And I'm like, my little talk is not about that at all. My talk is about the most foundational stuff that has nothing to do with the coolest stuff that we heard about yesterday and today. But then I got to listen to Corinne talk about safety and clarity and how this generation that we're trying to recruit really is struggling with all of it. And then I thought, okay, this talk makes sense again. It might not be the coolest thing that we're able to do, but this is a foundational thing. It's the human thing and the right thing to do in order to set you up for success with all these other cool, innovative things. So, who am I? Why am I talking to you? Is this working? Oh my God, yes. My name is Day Kibbles. As Mallory said, I work at Ology. Ology is a marketing branding agency based out of Columbus, Ohio, though I actually live in Canada. If you are in the market for branding or marketing or enrollment, marketing planning or fundraising, that's us. Hit me up. Would love to talk to you. I'm also the host of Enrollify's newest podcast, Talking Tactics. And this show actually is all about that. One single tactic per episode. If you have a strategy in place, if things are working, but there's just this one thing that you're like, oh, I wish we could move the needle on this metric. That's what this podcast is all about. So I am recruiting guests. So if you have done something really cool lately that moved the needle in enrollment, again, hit me up. So why am I here? Why am I talking to you? I have actually been working in higher education for 12, 13 years at this point. I started my career at Penn State and in the admissions office. I had every possible role in admissions, from admission counselor to presenter, recruiter, road warrior, all of it. Then I went to Cornell for a year and I did annual giving communications. And most recently, my family and I moved to Western University in Canada, in London, Ontario. And there, I also oversaw the undergraduate recruitment efforts. Now, I left higher ed proper about a year ago, moved to Ology, that's where I'm at now. But I bring to it all this experience at many different types of institutions that now has been enhanced with my experience being a consultant for even more institutions. And there's one thing that I've seen over and over and over and over again that very few schools are doing right, and that's a comp flow. And we all do them, and none of them are great. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say, I am a Latina. I have a weird orientation to time when it comes to airports. Like if I'm not 3 hours early, I am late. If you see this, I am a wreck right now. My flight boards at 4:47, everyone. So there will be no time for questions. Look at that. 18 to 28 minutes, I can't deal with that level of uncertainty about my Uber. Like, somebody please tell me when I'm gonna get there. So anyway, the point is, at 4 a.m. I'm out of here so fast, which means if you wanna ask me anything about this talk, just tweet it at me. This also goes to folks that are like tuning in virtually. You can't actually ask me anything here, so please just tweet at me. If you're not on Twitter anymore, and I'm almost not on Twitter anymore, I made an exception for this. LinkedIn also works really well. Okay, oh my gosh, that was the longest intro ever. I'm gonna talk about comp flows now. So, what is a comp flow? What am I talking about? It all starts here, the funnel. How many of you know the funnel? Enrollment funnel, okay. So there's a lot out there right now that's talking about how the funnel is no longer a linear process, it's a star. People go in and out, people move through the phases differently. All of that is 100% true. But thinking of the funnel this way as a journey really helps when building a communication flow that goes along with it. So what is this funnel? Well, the funnel has these traditional 5 phases The way that I'm presenting it here is the most foundational way to think about it for a traditional college-bound student in, a majority group. So let's think about it that way. There can be exceptions and there must be adaptations depending on who we're communicating with. This is your foundation. This is going to get you 80% of the way. First stage, top of the funnel, is awareness. At this phase, prospective students are either really young and eager, or seniors and procrastinating. But what they're doing here is really just trying to figure out why college? Why even college? Should I even go to college? Do I want liberal arts? Do I want community college? Do I want a big state school? How does it even work, okay? So at this stage, our job is to tell them, hey, we exist. Hi, we exist, pay attention to us. So when they move into the next phase, which is consideration, they're like, okay, yeah, I remember that billboard. I'm gonna look up that school. Because in this considerations phase, what they're trying to do is create a short list. And in this short list, there's 5 questions they're trying to answer. Where are you? Do you have my program? Will I fit in? How much does it cost? And number 5, which I don't remember. But I realized you all have my notes. If you download my slide deck, my notes are there, and my notes are smarter than me right now, so read them. So once they create this short list, this is how they decide, these are the schools we're gonna apply to, great. So they apply, they enter the application phase. Now, anyone that's been in admissions like me, we all know it's like radio silence during the application phase. Because none of us wanna give anyone a hint that they might get in when they won't, right? So it's like, okay, all communications immediately turn transactional. Everything just sounds so much stuffier and mean. I'm exaggerating, but not a lot. And, then they get a decision, which hopefully is they get in, and they enter this evaluation phase. In this evaluation phase, now we're talking, right? This is where the real recruitment happens. This is the highest involvement phase in this whole process, where they go from a short list to, I have to pick one institution that's going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life, right? You go there, you graduate from there, you get emails from there as an alum for the rest of your life. So here they're looking for that in-depth information. This is the test drive of your school. They want mini lectures. They want to know what the food is like. They want to know how soft their pillow's gonna be, okay? And once you convince them there, they deposit and they become committed to your school, which, for a lot of us is like the handoff moment, we're done. But it's not where it ends for them, because at the moment they deposit, they still have at least a dozen steps to take before they actually show up, first day. So, oh my gosh, Day, we all know the funnel. Why are you talking to us so much about the funnel? I don't know, I like it. So, we know this is the funnel. I just told you the information they're seeking. So as enrollment communicators, what do? We create a comp flow, right? So we know, because I just told you, that in the awareness phase, these are the things they want to know. What am I known for? That was the 5th question, I forgot. What is your school best at? How many of us have heard that, right? So you send emails about all your best rankings, only the best ones, of course. They also want to know about your high quality programs, how great your location is, something about financial aid. So you get an email like this. I have protected the innocent by blurring out all the institutions. You can't see this, so you can just open the slides, but you get an email that basically has a list of all the rankings you want to show, right? And I love this one because the first thing that they're demonstrating there is that they're top 2 something. Top 2 means 2. It doesn't mean 1. So why not just say number 2, right? So you get an email like this. You know you have to talk about high quality programs, so you get an email like this one, where it says that basically your high quality program is the most highest quality program of the programs ever in the whole universe. And this is the only place in the entire world in which you can achieve your dreams of becoming a business major, because we have the highest quality programs ever, right? We all do this. We all do it. Don't even fool yourself. We also get an email about the location, like this one, which says, we are both suburban and urban. We are both small and big. We are both tech, innovative, and green spacey. We are both quiet rural town and fancy restaurants, right? This is the best of every single world in one location. We all do this. We all do it. And then we get an email like this. We know we have to talk about costs, but we also know someone told us once that if you talk about costs up front, like they're gonna get scared and run away. So we just drop the word financial aid in there and hope for the best, right? Yes, you're gonna put us on the short list because we told you $4,000 something, right? That's what we typically do in our comp flows. The problem is that when we design communications this way, when we focus just on information, we're completely bypassing this opportunity to create connection. And when we behave this way and we communicate this way, we are pushing students away. Think back to what Corinne said earlier today. We are not creating clarity. We are not creating safety, and students prefer to quit than to fail. So, how do we do that? How do we do that in these communications? We do that with empathy. Now, a lot of people confuse the definition of empathy with sympathy, so I'll define it for you. Empathy basically is the ability to feel what others feel and the capacity to kind of feel that yourself. So it's to understand and feel it yourself. And we do this by listening, by being curious, by being vulnerable, by asking questions, by putting ourselves in their shoes, okay? So empathy is extremely important in the enrollment funnel because this is how we understand what students are actually going through in order to be able to communicate that with them and support them through it. So how do we do this? It seems like a big task, and it is. But fortunately for us, just like anything else in higher ed, other industries are always ahead, right? So there's a tool in like the content strategy world called an empathy map. Does anyone know what that is? Oh, I'm gonna show you. So an empathy map basically has 4 sections, 4 quadrants, which is a really hard word for me to say. Quadrants, there we go. The first one is thinking. So here, you would write down, okay, what are all the questions? Like these are like the rational information, questions, facts that students have on their mind when they're applying to your college. All the stuff we just saw. What are your rankings? What are your programs? What's your location? We all naturally already do this because that's how we are already designing comp flows. But there's 3 other quadrants on here. The second one is seeing. Where are they seeing this information where are they getting the answers to those questions that they're asking? Where else are they consuming information, even outside of the college search, right? Are they on their phones? Are they on TV? Are they commuting and looking at bus ads? Are they listening to Pandora or Spotify ads? Where are they consuming information? The next thing in this empathy map is doing. What else are they doing right now? What are they responsible for? What fills their days? If they had an agenda, what would be on it? And when we think about college-going students, 16, 17, 18, we know they're busy, right? We know they're not just worried about applying to college. They're also doing all this other stuff to make them attractive to admissions counselors in the first place. Sports, extracurriculars, volunteering, activities in their community, helping their parents, watching their siblings, who knows, right? They have all this stuff going on beyond reading the emails that we send, right? The last thing on here, which is the most important for today, is feeling. What are they feeling as they're going through this process? Is it excitement at times? Is it overwhelm? Probably. What are the emotions that are coming up, and how do those change all throughout? Now, when you do this exercise, I recommend that you actually focus group this out with your students so you get their actual insights. For today, I put this together based on just what I know from 13 years of doing this type of work. But I really recommend that. Sit down with your students, ask them these questions, map it out. And the other thing that will come out of that is you'll quickly notice what the segments are. There might be a group of students that have a completely different kind of experience in the college-going process than the majority. And they might be doing or seeing or feeling different things. And that's how you know how to segment your communications, because you need to serve that group in the way that they need to be served. So the cool thing about doing this is that you then have an extremely powerful foundation for a comp flow. That's much better than these are the 4 things I need to send you in an email, right? I know what I need to say. Like, I know what I need to send to you. I already knew that. We all kind of intuitively know that. But now, I also know maybe what channels to put it in that are not just email. I also know what else I need to consider in order to accommodate your busy life, right? So maybe if all my open houses or campus tours are happening on weekdays and I know that you have a part-time job to help your family, maybe I need to think about that schedule. Or maybe, you just don't even know where to start, and I need to think about that and how to accommodate for that. Now, feeling is the part where we begin to create that connection. And if we can acknowledge what students are feeling instead of completely ignoring it, that's when we start to actually build that relationship and create that safety that when it comes to the moment of deciding where to go, they already feel like they have a connection with us. Now, great, empathy maps, awesome. What about the funnel? What does this look like? So I actually went through and I crossed these 2 things. And I'm going to show you how you do empathy mapping with the enrollment funnel. You can't see this up here. You can look at the slides which are available to you or look at this later. But basically across the top, the thinking are all the questions that they need answered at that stage, right? So I walked through this in the beginning. It starts very broad and it gets hyper specific with some transactional moments in between. Now, this isn't enough. This is what we've all been using to design comp flows up until now, but it's not enough. Now we can build more powerful connections. The second thing we think about, okay, where are they consuming media? Where are they consuming information? If you're really astute, you will notice that in that awareness phase, there's no email. Absolutely no 16-year-old is regularly checking their email because they think it's fun, right? I, for this past year, hosted my nephew from Mexico City, where we live. So he's there, he's doing grade 10, he's 15 years old, and I'm like, I'm a self-proclaimed email expert. I'm writing a book on email. And I'm like asking him about emails, and he's like, what's my email address? I'm like, what do you mean? Isn't this the center of your life like it is me? No, they don't care, right? They're consuming media in many other places. At some point, they do begin to check their email because they know they have to. But if that's where your awareness efforts are, if you're just buying names and sending emails and nothing else, that might not be working. Do the empathy mapping exercise. Many other channels, all the expected ones here. Again, do this exercise. What else are they doing? Sports tournaments, tryouts, musical performances, jobs, volunteering. What is, at each of these stages, what are they doing? Preparing for prom, right? Maybe they're trying to spend time with their first love, right? What else are they doing? And last, what are those feelings that are coming up for them? And here, this is the one I really want you to pay attention, the part I really want you to pay attention to. It is not all rosy. They are not excited. They are overwhelmed. They are terrified. They lack confidence. They're confused. They're scared. They're sad. There might be moments where they're relieved and excited and eager and hopeful, but it is not a flat emotional curve here. So there's research that RNL recently put out about this, where they did this research with some students, and overwhelmingly, student emotions are actually negative through this process nowadays, and disproportionately so for first-generation students, students of color. So think about that. Think about the emotions that they're feeling, and they look like this. This is where the emoji count starts to go up, everyone. It's a roller coaster, right? You start kind of excited, I'm gonna grow up, right? And then you think, oh my God, there is no way I can do this. I cannot get into this college. What is a GPA, etc. Then you're like, maybe I can do this, kind of neutral about it. Then you're like, oh my God, I'm waiting for a decision. What if I don't get in? I'm gonna disappoint my parents who sacrificed everything for me. My friends are getting into places. I must be dumb, right? And then you get in, maybe, or you don't. And it's the pits, right? And then at some point you make this decision, which is becoming harder and harder for students because of all the baggage that comes along with higher ed nowadays. And it might be like you might feel great for a second, but then you have this deep buyer's remorse, like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I going to the place I should be going? Am I making a mistake? And then you're like, okay, I got this, maybe, for a little bit, until you get there and you make your first friend. This is what they are feeling, and this is how we are communicating. This is horrible, right? Am I right? I am right. It's horrendous, right? And I wanted to put for like those neutral ones in the applicant face actually like a little middle finger, but then I was like, no, that's too much. So if that's how they're feeling and this is how we are communicating, can you imagine like what they feel about us and how just completely not genuine we are coming off and like how out of touch we seem, right? With these emails, with all these exclamation marks and this excitement when they're like, I am a failure at life at age 17, right? So what do we do, right? Before I show you what to do, I'm gonna make you feel this deep in your gut, repulsion. So imagine, you're in the consideration phase. So here's where you're trying to find where to apply. And you're really worried about your identity and if you're gonna fit in, right? And maybe you're a bit of an introvert, maybe because a significant portion of your high school years were spent at home with your family. Maybe you're scared of leaving them. Maybe you don't know if you're gonna make friends somewhere new. Maybe you don't wanna go somewhere new. You're overwhelmed by this whole process, maybe because you're first generation, your parents can't help. Even if your parents are not first generation, as Corinne said earlier, I keep quoting her, she's fantastic. She said, this is my first time doing this too as a parent, right? So you're overwhelmed AF. And you're nervous and you're an introvert. And you get an email like this one. Are you ready to sit on a stadium with 1,000 million people? Are you ready to sing and chant and yell and celebrate football even if you don't give a crap about it? Yay! You can find community here. How does this feel? Terrifying. Hell no. I don't want to learn this fight song. No, thank you. Blank state. I don't want this. I don't want this. This is so not what I need right now, right? Maybe, same situation. Am I going to fit in? But you're a little bit more neutral about it. You're not as scared. Maybe you're like an extroverted introvert like me, and you're like, I can handle it, whatever. And you get an email like this. Hey, so-and-so. We can tell you are ready to join this family. You're like, what? You know nothing about me. All you have is my email address. I am not ready to leave my family. You are not my family. How cocky, right? Hence the wink emoji. How cocky and out of touch this email seems. And this is like one of the best ones of them. Maybe you have passed, like you're asking yourself a different question. What are the admission requirements? Can I get in? Like, what do I even need to get in? And I've noticed a trend working with dozens and dozens of schools now that schools are hiding their admission requirements a lot because of holistic admission. Dude, that's terrifying for students who rather quit than fail. If I don't have a minimum assurance that potentially this could work out, there is no way I'm even gonna try. Tell me what you're looking for so that I know if I have a shot before I even try. So you're in that mind space, and you're so confused and overwhelmed because you don't understand a single term. Who does? And you get an email like this. Hey, admission speak, basically. This email is reminding me about a deadline in the most aggressive way possible. It also doesn't tell me that it is my own deadline. It is telling me if this is your deadline, how do I know if it is or isn't? If you're this type of student, this is your deadline. If you're this other type of student, this is your deadline. You should know what type of student I am Don't make me self-select when I don't even know what I'm doing here. This is so scary, right? And hey, this might be your deadline, but depending on your program, you might have a different deadline. So which one is it, right? So now I'm more confused and more overwhelmed and more scared. Let's think about a different part of the empathy map. This is the doing part. So I'm doing 10 million things, right? And I'm doing all these things. I'm doing all this stuff, studying for tests, sports, extracurriculars, so I can get into your school in the first place, okay? I'm doing this for you, schools. And I'm busy and I'm overwhelmed and I'm doing so much stuff, I don't have a second to myself. And I get an email like this: hey, you and your parents need to take a weekday off, maybe 2, because we're in the middle of nowhere and it's not easy to get here. So you can come here on a Friday and visit our campus. I can't take a weekday off. My parents can't take a weekday off. Who are these type of programs excluding? Think about that very carefully. Who are you excluding? So when you send an email like this, and the students are already overwhelmed, and they see this, and they know their parents can't take a day off work, they can't take a day off work, they won't even tell their parents. They won't even try to go. They won't even try to engage with this, right? Maybe there's a way we can fix this. But why? Other than, it's the right thing to do. Why should we add empathy? Let me give you some convincing facts. Empathy is one of the core pillars of trust. This trust triangle is something that was recently published by 2 Harvard business professors. And they basically say, in order to have trust, there's 3 things that must always be there. And this is kind of in the context of leadership, like trusting a leader, but it applies to anything, any trust. You need authenticity. You need logic, like this all makes sense, processes are correct, everything I'm doing makes decision. And you need empathy. I need to believe that you care about me and me making it through this in a healthy way. Okay, Day, trust. Why do we want trust? Well, trust today is the make or break difference for a brand. And let me tell you, you might think of yourself as a college, but you are a brand. And we're a brand in an especially competitive market whose value is being relentlessly questioned. So when our offerings are so similar to the college on the road, the college upstate, the college online, the thing that makes a big difference between whether I choose you or I choose them is the brand, right? And it's if you have trust in that brand. So here are some of the stats that just blew my mind. 79% of 18 to 26-year-olds, that's our market, everyone, say that trusting a brand today is more important than ever before. 79% want to trust you. 67% say that it increases their sense of safety and security. Are bells ringing? Are you connecting to earlier? If they trust you, they feel safe. If they feel safe, they're going to try. Yes? This is why we want trust. And in order to get that trust, we have empathy. We create empathy. I said this already, but I'll say it again. When all else is held equal, and what I mean by this is I can study a similar program down the road. I'm getting a similar financial aid package. The location, I'm fine living in both places. When all of that is held equal at that moment of truth, they are going to choose based on who they trust, and that is something that you create through the empathy you have as a brand. Now, how do we do it? Great Day, okay, I believe you. Let's say you believe me. How do we add empathy? It's actually extremely simple. It's so simple. All we have to do is feel with them. So I'm taking you back to the roller coaster. We're so excited to start this process with you. It's okay to not know things yet. You're capable. It's confusing, we know. Let us clarify. It's a lot to focus on. Here are the 2 things you need to do right now. You're doing great. We're going to keep helping you. Hang in there. Things will work out. We are so sorry that this isn't a decision you wanted. Feel with them. You know what they're feeling because you did the empathy mapping exercise. So when they're feeling those things, put yourself in their shoes. Act like a human being speaking to a human being across the room from you. How does that feel, right? You are all extremely empathetic. We all are. But somehow when we're in admissions and we're behind a computer, we become the coldest, most direct communicators out there. Stop. Be human. Feel with them. Acknowledge those big emotions. This is a big moment in your life. It's normal for you to be scared. Are you ready? We're ready. Instead of, rah, rah, everything is great, we are so excited, come to our campus, not everything is amazing all the time, right? So what would this look like? I took the liberty of rewriting some of these emails just to show you how actually easy it is. And this is something that, we saw all this really cool technology today, how these emails can be written for you. I love that. Use those things to your advantage. But you are the human. Go back in there and see if there's a sentence or two you can add to create that connection. So here, we can tell you're ready to join the family. Becomes, I bet there's a lot going on with you right now. These are the only two things you need to worry about. Completely different starting sentence, same exact email copy. Do you see that? How easy that is? Yeah. We remember the rah-rah, learn the fight song email? Okay, instead of, here, let me terrify you. Let's start with one of the hardest things of going to college is leaving behind your home, friends, and family. But here are some of the ways that you'll begin to create that family here, right? Or you'll begin to find your community here. We can't just ignore what they're feeling and go full excited because it just feels jarring, right? Let's acknowledge that they're feeling those emotions and then give them the solution. This is a social post because it isn't always email in our comp flows. It shouldn't be. So here we see Tiny. It's about time. Early decisions are up. Congratulations to our early decision admits, right? Wow, this is cool, exciting. Absolutely belongs on social. What about everybody else who got put on the wait list from the early decisions? That sucks for them, right? This sucks for them. So how about at the end of this post, to everyone still waiting, hang in there. There's lots of more decisions coming, right? That's it. You don't have to promise and admit. You won't admit everyone. You can't ever promise that. But you can be empathetic to that terrible moment when they know they are not the audience for this post. That sucks. You can make it suck less. Or, this is one of my favorite examples because of how terrible it is. Everybody know what DACA is? Dream Act students. So students that are children of illegal immigrants who do not have legal status in the US, suddenly when they, born here, grew up here, suddenly when they're 18 years old, they have no rights, right? You gotta get out. And so they are able to go to college because of the dream of DACA, the DREAM Act, but they don't have financial aid. They don't qualify for federal financial aid. So when you go to these websites, it says basically, under current state law, we don't have the authority to grant you anything, basically. Good luck paying. Why? I mean, that's true, we can't change the law, right? That's all true. Why not just say, we're so sorry, this is the way things are, but we've created all these other scholarship programs for you. You can find other resources here. Have the empathy. It doesn't cost anything, and it feels so different to them. As a summary, when we focus on just information, we miss an opportunity to create connection. We are pushing students away. When we add empathy to our communications, we learn what students are thinking, feeling, doing, and seeing. Then we can feel it with them. We add empathy to generate trust. We want trust, so students choose us. And all we have to do is feel with them. That's it. Don't change anything else. Well, okay, if you want to change things, great, but feel with them. Not just so they choose us, but because it's the human thing to do. And I firmly believe, especially today with all this technology we have that is incredible and exciting and new and cool, that this human component is going to be more important than ever. And that is something we still bring to the table, even if there's AI assisting us with everything else. Thank you. Oh my God, no need to panic because it's 3:50 and I can answer questions. Ah! All right. Now you better ask me questions. Or you can comment on my outfit or my nails. Yes, here in the center.
I love your outfit.
Thank you so much. Somebody on the street stopped me and was like, "Hi, sunshine." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me."
I love your outfit too.
Oh yeah, thank you.
That was a great presentation. I'm wondering, have you done this for client universities, and have you A/B tested it with old copy versus empathetic copy?
The answer is no, I have not A/B tested this. I have given this as strategy to some of my clients, but I have not yet seen what comes back from trying it. So all of you, please try it and let me know what happens. All right?
It would be cool to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Over here.
Hey, so this style that you're talking about, I think, is much more in line with how I try to write to students anyway. And I've pitched some stuff like this that has been well received by the people who are reading these communications and have to approve them. But some of it they get a little bit worried about because they are worried that I am putting negative thoughts in a student's head by even mentioning that, hey, you might be uncertain about your decision, you might be worried about financial aid, stuff like that. So I'm wondering how you would advise trying to convince and win over members of your team who are have reservations about this style of trying to connect and have those kinds of concerns.
Yeah, so I have 3 suggestions for that. 1, tell them somebody told you at a conference. Always works. 2, try the testing. Say, okay, you know what? Can we just send this to 15% and see what happens? And 3 is this is intended to be backed up by research, right? So we don't create these empathy maps out of thin air, ideally. Sit down with a group of 6 students, have them tell you how they felt, and then say, but this is we did this research, we did focus groups, this is what they're feeling, and this would have helped. So if you're able to actually carry out that empathy mapping exercise, not just 6 students, but multiple focus groups, any way that you can, I think then it would be harder for someone to say, stop introducing negative thoughts. Instead, you're saying, no, we're addressing the thoughts they already have, and we're the only school that is doing that. Yeah. Okay. Subscribe to my podcast, everyone. All right. I think that's it then. Thank you.